This is Raymond van Barneveld, and you listen to Dartistry.
Hello, JDP fans around the world, and a very warm welcome to episode number 18 of the Josh's Dartistry podcast. Now, we might be coming towards the end of September. It might be the fact that we're towards the end of the summer, but we are now slap bang in the middle of darts season. Bringing you all the latest news, reviews, results, and everything in between. The man on my right, first of all, Mr. Josh Gorton. How are you, Josh?
I'm not too bad, John. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. Summer's over, Josh. Just looking out the window now, where we are in my wonderful residence. It's piddling down outside, mate. Summer's been and gone.
I know, the weather's a little bit depressing, but on the plus side, we've got plenty of darts to look forward to.
Very, very true. Cricket season's also over, Josh. How was your season?
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
I think that sums it all up.
Let's move on. It's a good job Jordan's not with us tonight, because we could tactically pick him apart. And talking all things cricket, another member of the illustrious Shoddy Fours. On my left-hand side, stats man himself, Mr. Neil Connor. How are you, Neil?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, John. How are you?
I'm good. Did you summer well?
It started well and then kind of petered out. I seem to be an early season player.
Did we get relegated?
Unsure.
Did we go down, or are we not? We don't know that
it's
yet.
Possible.
It's possible. Unbelievable. So, Josh, you hang up the captaincy, and all of a sudden we're relegation candidates. Who do you blame?
I'm not in the blame game.
Neil?
The captain and the vice captain.
Captain and the vice captain. Ross and Jordan, absolute disgrace. Anyway, we're not here to talk about cricket or indeed football. I'm going to give football a big swerve, because your team have started particularly well this year, Neil, and I don't really want to go down that route.
No,
sorry, you're going to say something?
We've just had game week 6. Let's see how things pan out.
Oh, that's rich coming from you, giving it large on our WhatsApp group every other day. But moving on, we're here to talk about darts. So, Josh, there's been a lot going on recently. I know we've got some. We're going to have a quick chat now, aren't we, about some updates, World Series, Players Championship, and of course European Tour stuff.
Yeah, obviously since the World Match Play, John, there hasn't really been a major event, but plenty of darts going on. Obviously since the summer break, they returned. The PDC top 8, or invited wildcards competed in the World Series. And then, in the last few weeks, we've had Players' Championship, European Tour stuff, all building up now to the World Grand Prix, which is a couple of weeks' time.
Neil, you had your eye on the darts recently?
Yeah, I've caught up with what I could do. I've been quite busy, to be honest, at work. So I've not had a great deal of time, but I've certainly kept track with what's going on, and I've seen a little bit of the Pro Tour events on the stream.
Good. Well, that's the point of the podcast. We can not only educate ourselves, but try and educate our listeners as well as to what's been going on in all things PDC and, of course, BDO. So, Josh, we'll have a chat about those things that we've mentioned. We're also going to look at the World Grand Prix, because I believe the field has just been confirmed, hasn't it?
Yeah, following Sunday's 26th Players' Champion event of the season, the field has been confirmed. A few debutants, a few familiar faces, also a few big names missing out. So we'll talk about that later on.
Neil, hopefully you'll be bringing us some odds for those upcoming tournaments as well, won't you?
Yep, so we'll talk about the odds for the World Grand Prix, and then we'll look forward to the Champions League of Darts as well.
Fantastic. Josh, I've seen a lot of Twitter activity in the last hour with regards to episode 18 of the JDP. I believe you've got a very, very big guest to bring to us this evening.
Yeah, very excited about this one, John. We've been trying for a while to get him on. It's the one and only Raymond van Barneveld.
Barney. Josh, obviously you're well known for being a massive Raymond van Barneveld fan. You've been a big supporter of him throughout his entire career. I know you've spoken to him on many occasions in the past, but it must be a real pleasure for you to be able to bring Barney onto your own podcast and have a chat with him.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure, John. I spoke to him just before he headed to Barnsley for the weekend's Players' Championship events, and it was great to get him on because obviously busy last couple of months for him, all focused now on his retirement and trying to sign off in style at the World Championship. So I thought with 3 or 4 months left of his career, good time to get him on now.
Neil, great to have Barney on the show, yeah?
Yeah, I think, especially in, as Josh says, his farewell year. So looking forward to hearing what he's got to say.
Neil, you'll also be bringing us another instalment of Challenge Josh, I take it?
I will be, and topical for the occasion. We're going to go with 15 questions on the World Darts Grand Prix.
Excellent stuff. Look forward to that. Josh,
I learnt a lot when I did the research for that one.
I bet you did.
Josh is looking pained already. Josh, we've got some news items to discuss as well, haven't we?
Yeah, plenty of news to discuss. A little bit about the Champions League of Darts, a little bit about a certain Phil Taylor, which we'll be reflecting on later on.
One of my favourites. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a chat about that. Lots in the news about Phil recently, and then we'll bring the episode to a conclusion with, of course, our Q&A section. Josh, we've had some questions coming in via social media, haven't we?
Yep, I think we've had 4 or 5 on Twitter and Facebook. One directed straight to you, actually, John. I noticed
straight to me.
A football question.
Oh my word!
Oh,
I don't know why they're asking me. Neil's our resident football expert, but okay.
Well,
I'll do my best with that one. I'll do my best.
I look forward to that.
Ladies and gents, thanks for downloading the show. It's always great to have you on board. We do the show for you. So thanks again. You can check us out, obviously, on Apple Podcast or iTunes. You can also get the show on the Stitcher app if you are an Android user. You can always find the show on YouTube, Josh's YouTube account. We always do a video version of the show. Check that out there. And Josh always puts a streaming version of the show up on his website. Check that out. It's at www.joshsdartistry.com. Neil, if people wanted to check us out on Twitter, where can they find us?
At Josh's Dartistry.
And Josh, do you have a Facebook page at all?
Yep, all my articles and all the podcast episodes get updated on that, John.
Excellent. So, yeah, check us out across all the social media platforms. Josh still hasn't organised an email address, so we'll ignore that one. And we haven't got an Instagram account yet, so we'll ignore that one. We're not on Bebo. We're not on Tinder yet, are we? We're on Tinder. We've got a Tinder account. Josh's Dartistry Tinder account. Have we got one of those, Neil?
Might get a few matches.
Not that I'm aware of.
Maybe we should set that one up. But yeah, you can find us on social media. So check us out. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for your continued support. If you get a chance to leave a review for the show, a 5-star review, of course, on Apple iTunes, then we'd of course appreciate that enormously. But thanks for staying with us. Thanks for listening to episode 18. And here we go.
This is Wayne Mardle, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
I feel happy, won't you call me on the telephone? In the morning, won't you call me on the telephone?
Call the boys on 07739 738 329. That's 07739 738 329 and leave them a message.
Okay, let's have a brief roundup, Josh, of everything that's gone on in the last couple of weeks, just to touch base with the listeners. Where should we start? World Series of Darts, I suppose?
Yeah, it seems the best place to start, really, John. Following on from the World Match Play, a lot of the PDC players had their summer break, but the PDC Elite went down under for 3 World Series events, the first 2 in Australia, then New Zealand. And we had firstly the Brisbane Darts Masters, and we saw a shock winner in the form of Damon Heta.
That was quite an incredible tournament and an incredible result, really, wasn't it?
It was superb, yeah. I mean, we saw Heta at the World Series finals last year, competed on the World Series circuit in Australia, but the form he showed was just superb. In Brisbane, he started off beating James Wade, which was a great scalp, came from 5-3 down, I believe, in that one. Then he defeated Gary Anderson to get to the semis, where he beat his compatriot Simon Whitlock, and then saw off Rob Cross in the final in a brilliant last leg. I think he hit a brilliant 170 to set up double 16, took it out, no nerves at all. Incredible victory for him, and that guarantees his place at the World Series finals in Amsterdam later this year.
I mean, to win the tournament overall is one thing. To defeat Rob Cross in the final is another. But the names that he's beaten on the way to lift in the
players,
absolutely fantastic, Josh.
Yeah, no fluke whatsoever. You've got 4 established PDC major winners there. They've all won big titles. So yeah, fair play to Damon.
I think it's very refreshing, isn't it, that we have these World Series events, and as you say, they normally get picked off by the big boys. So massive boost for Australian darts, a massive boost for the World Series of Darts. Really proves, the worth of that tournament. And as I say, very refreshing for the sport.
Josh, Neil mentions, the sort of smaller names getting picked off by the bigger names. It was a true return to form as we now move on to the Melbourne Darts Masters and, of course, the New Zealand Darts Masters after that. But in Melbourne, Michael van Gerwen rose to the top again, didn't he?
Yeah, I think in the previous podcast we did, John, we spoke to Wayne Mardle, and he mentioned about Michael van Gerwen's form, because during the match play he was under par. He has been under par for a number of months, really, since winning the Premier League in May. And Wayne said he really needed to try and win at least one of these World Series events, and he did. Fair play to Michael. His performances in Brisbane wasn't particularly good. Lost to Darryl Gurney in the quarterfinals, but he bounced back superbly well in Melbourne and actually defeated Darryl in the final to win that. And he followed that up in New Zealand with a win over Raymond van Barneveld in the final. But also good to see Barney reaching his first televised final for 12 months.
Who did Barney beat on the way, Josh, to get to that final?
He beat Cody Harris, New Zealand number 1 in the first round. Then he defeated Daryl Gurney in the quarterfinals. Then beat James Wade in the semi. So 3 good wins for Barney there.
Neil, MVG racking up 2 tournament wins there and performing very well in the final, 8-3 against Gurney and 8-1 against Barney. It's nice, bit of a, not that he needs it, but a bit of a confidence booster for Van Gerwen moving into the rest of the season.
Yeah, just as we start to speculate that maybe the wobble or the blip is on the cards, he comes back and wins 2 out of the next 3 big tournaments. So not really a surprise. And now where are we? Late September. You know, he needs to carry that form in you know, and get in peak form ready for the big one at the end of the year.
Josh, we'll hear from the man himself shortly when we have a listen to your interview a little bit later. But talking of confidence boosting, nice for Barney moving into his final year and to make it through to a final. Yeah,
New Zealand has been a happy hunting ground for him, John, over the last few years. I think he's reached 3 finals in New Zealand in the last 5 years, and he played a lot better. Even in Melbourne when he lost in the quarterfinals. In the first round he averaged 106, probably should have beaten Peter Wright in the quarterfinals. But he's playing a lot better now, a lot more consistent with his new darts. And he, in the Premier League, you always felt he was up against it and just wasn't performing. But now you are seeing, you know, although we're not seeing the results consistently, we are seeing the performances he's capable of.
I think we may see one last hurrah from Barney. I'm not saying it will come in the Worlds. But
you mean winning a competition?
Or going very close to winning the competition, because
yeah.
I think, as Josh says, that early on in the year his form wasn't great. And now, you know, he's winning games, and not only winning games, he's posting some high averages. So I've just got a feeling with him, a man with that talent, that there's still something around the corner that's going to happen.
You fancy him to do a bit of a Taylor in his final year, because Taylor
Possibly,
won the match play in his final
and
year.
got to the World Championship final as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've just got a feeling that something will happen.
Okay, well, there you go. Neil fancies a bit of a fairy tale towards the end of the year, so we'll keep an eye on that. Perhaps when we come to the odds section, Neil, you can give us Barney's odds on a few of those tournaments.
We will certainly have a look at Raymond's odds for those tournaments.
And see how he's going to get on. Okay, so that is your wrap-up for the World Series of Darts, those 3 events that took place down under. Josh, let's move on to the European Tour. We've had a couple of European events taking place. Tell us about those, mate.
Yeah, well, since we last recorded, John, we've had 3 European Tour events and 3 different winners, which is always refreshing. The first tournament was the Austrian Darts Championship, and it was a fairy tale final, which saw Mensur Suljovic win on home soil against Michael van Gerwen.
Go on, Mensur.
I love Mensur. He's a fantastic character, a brilliant player, and he's starting to get a little bit confident as well. After he beat Michael van Gerwen, he said, "I believe I'll become world champion this year." And usually,
that's a big shout.
And usually Mensur always downplays his chances. He can be in the semi-finals or final. He says, I can't win this. I think now he's got the belief. He's starting to win tournaments more regularly. He also, as we'll go on to later, he also won a tournament this weekend. He's now won 7 PDC titles. But that was the first PDC title, obviously, on home soil for him. So a brilliant, brilliant weekend.
Neil, nice to see Mensur getting a win under his belt in his home country.
I love Mensur just as many others do. And I think I remember last year, it was either in Germany or Austria, him going very, very close in one of the European Tour events, and the crowd were going absolutely ballistic. So, nice story, that one.
Nice to see Mensur winning that, and a tight game against Michael van Gerwen in the final, but Mensur came through 8-7. Josh, the European Darts match play, where did that come from?
I believe it was in Mannheim in Germany, John. And we saw Michael van Gerwen appearing in another European Tour final, but for the 3rd European Tour in succession, he lost in the final, this time to Joe Cullen. Joe was absolutely fantastic throughout the weekend. We know what a talent he is. He's got such a good throw, and when he's playing well, it just looks so easy on the eye. And he had a brilliant, brilliant weekend. He beat James Wade on finals day, Glenn Durrant, and obviously then beating Michael van Gerwen 8-5 in the final with 100 average. He played superbly well, and this could be the start of something for Joe. I mean, he's shown great promise. He's won a couple of titles before on the floor. This is his first big stage title, if you like, his 3rd PDC title, and I think now's the time for him to kick on in the second half of the season.
Neil, there's us talking about confidence-boosting wins for Michael van Gerwen in the World Series, but then we move it on to the European Tour, and we're seeing 2 defeats in the final for van Gerwen.
Yeah, but incredible consistency to get to those finals. And I think, you know, we touched upon the Brisbane Masters and the winner that we had there from Australia. The game at the moment is full of talent, full of people that can cause upsets. And when you look at Michael van Gerwen, 2 victories in the World Series, 2 finals on the European Tour. Yeah, he might have lost those finals, but with the fields as they are at the moment, for him to even achieve 4 finals of which 2 are wins. It's fantastic. So
it probably goes to show the standard that he set over the years, that, when he does lose a final, that we, some people, myself included, start calling it a crisis of confidence, when really it's nothing of the sort, is it?
No. You've got to understand, I think, you've got to take into account the playing field and how much stronger that is than it probably was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So he deserves a lot of credit for being able to maintain that level of consistency week in, week out.
Josh, International Darts Open, what can you tell us about that one?
Well, Gerwen Price was the defending champion, John, and he retained his title in fantastic style, beating Rob Cross 8-6 in the final. Gerwen had a great start to the year, obviously really positive in the Premier League. I think won back-to-back Pro Tour titles in February. His form has slightly dwindled a little bit over the last couple of months. It's a real big confidence boost now for Price, coming into the second half of the season. Played really well against Rob Cross, and I was amazed to find out that Cross had never won a European Tour title.
Wow.
For a player of his standing, I know he's only been around for a couple of years now, but for a player of his calibre who competes in these quite regularly, I thought he would have won one, but just came up short in the final. But a good weekend for Cross, but yeah, brilliant for Gerwen Price.
Okay, so that's your European Tour update. Josh, just while we're talking about the European Tour, I noticed an article online. I forget who it was with, so I'm sorry if I'm not giving a credit to the source of this news article. But somebody did an interview with Gary Anderson, and he mentioned
Live Darts. That was
it Live Darts, where he said he might start playing on the European Tour again, because obviously he's been absent from the tour for a couple of years now, not including it in his schedule. But he said he might start dipping his toe back into the European waters. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, Gary hasn't played on the European Tour now since 2016, I believe. He's got a young family, and obviously he's playing the Pro Tour, he's playing the Premier League. Usually, I know he didn't this year due to injury. It's a big commitment when you're travelling the country. It's Germany one week, Austria the next week. But he's world number 4 now. I think next year he's defending money from winning the UK Open, the World Match Play, and reaching the Grand Slam final.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And
the European Tour is more lucrative. You get £25,000 for winning an event in the European Tour, as opposed to £10,000 on the Players' Championship. So I'm not definite that Gary Anderson will return. I think it all depends on his world ranking. If he's in a comfortable position in the world's top 8, I don't see him going back there.
But it's an option for him.
I think it's an option. It's a contingency plan if his form dwindles a little bit and he starts to slip down the rankings. But because he's quite low down on the Pro Tour Order of Merit, he won't be a guarantee. He'll have to try and qualify for these events. Yeah. And that's not easy with the depth you've got in the PDC.
Neil, you've always been a proponent of every tournament, whether it's the World Championships or a minor event. You've always been a proponent of having the best of the best compete for these titles. I'm sure you'd like to see Gary Anderson playing in the European Tour again. Yeah,
and again, I think it's a boost for that section of the darting world to have a big name such as Gary competing. If you watch some of the European Tour events, the atmospheres are sensational. You get to places like, particularly in Germany, and I know sort of German darts has improved and is really coming on, but
still no winners though.
Well, Max Hopp has won.
Max Hopp last year,
last year.
Gabriel Clemens, awfully got to a World Series final this year.
Got to a final, didn't win it.
But you watch those events, and they must be fabulous atmospheres to play in, and some really nice cities to visit. But I guess he's done it in the past, and doesn't always feel that he needs to go back there. And I understand that he's got his own personal commitments as well, but. Get the best players on these things, and it can only be for the good of the sport.
I know that neither of you wanted to join in with me there over my German bashing. I take it you've got more confidence in German darts and German darts players at the moment than I have, Josh.
No, I do. I mean, Max Hopp gets a lot of criticism, I think, on social media about, he hasn't delivered. He's only 22, 23 years old. He's been around for so long, I think, that people expect more of him, but he's improving all the time. He's won a European Tour event. He's won a Players' Championship event. Gabriel Clemens has really emerged over the last couple of years. I think he's in a solid place. And we've also seen Martin Schindler.
Schindler as well, yeah.
He's come back into a little bit of form over the last couple of months, having had a poor start to 2019. So there's real cause for optimism for German darts.
Okay, guys, so that's the World Series of Darts updated, as well as the European Tour. Josh, we also had Players' Championship events, didn't we? We had 23, 24, 25, and indeed 26 take place recently. Let's have a quick look at those. PC 23, talk to us about that one, buddy.
Yeah, well, a historic day that was, John. A midweek Pro Tour. We saw Jose de Sousa win his first PDC title, becoming the first Portuguese player to win a PDC title. Now, we saw him at the World Championship last year, lost to Michael Barnard in the first round. He's come on leaps and bounds this year, thrown so many 100-plus averages on the tour, been a real threat, and he actually transformed that into a title on the day, beating a number of great players, beating Peter Wright, I think 7-2 in the semis, beating Gerwin Price 8-1 in the final. So real comprehensive stuff.
Did Portugal take part in the World Cup of darts, Josh?
They didn't know, but I think due to De Sousa's success this year, I believe they will be in there next year.
Yeah, that'd be good to see. Players Championship 24, I believe, was won by James Wade and his 5th ranking title of the year, Josh.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of James, John, and this win against Dave Chisnell saw him equal his best ever year in terms of ranking wins. I think he's won 5 now. Could be more coming into the second half of the season. He's top of the Players' Championship Order of Merit as well, so a very good season on the floor for Wadey.
Neil, I fancy Wade to be a mover and a shaker for the rest of the major events for the rest of the year. What do you think?
I agree, and I think it was this time last year that he started to rekindle some of that.
Absolutely.
Form. 2 big TV events, I think, won in consecutive weeks.
Yeah, European and the World Series finals.
Yeah, so always a danger man.
Okay, congratulations to James Wade. Players Championship 25, Josh, talk to us about that.
Yep, that was just last Saturday gone, and we saw Daryl Gurney win his first floor title since April 2017. Quite remarkable to think that, really. He defeated Nathan Aspinall, UK Open champion, in the final, so well done to Gurney.
Sorry, Josh, who did he defeat?
UK Open champion Nathan Aspinall.
This is Nathan Aspinall, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Yeah, Nathan, friend of the show, making it to the final of PC 25, and Josh, I think he's going to be one to watch for the rest of the year as well, isn't he, Aspinall?
Yeah, definitely, John. He's making his World Grand Prix debut this year, and as a seed as well. He's going to be a real threat for all the tournaments. I think he's the second most backed player I saw for the World Championship this year.
Wow.
Which is just testament to his improvement and growth over the last 12 months.
Okay, finally, Players Championship 26. Tell us about that, Josh.
Yep, a remarkable final, John, between Mensur Suljovic and Ian White. We just spoke about Mensur earlier in the show, winning the Austrian Darts Championship. He's now added another floor title to his resume. It's his first title on English soil. Defeating Ian White 8-7 in the final. White hit a 9-darter in the final and averaged 107 and still lost. White averaged 104.44 for the entire day, which is just incredible consistency.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
We just really want Ian to now transfer that to the TV stage because he's got the ability. He's done it on the European tour. Now it's time to see that delivered on the major TV events.
Neil, some of the results here in Players' Championship, it just goes to show that even outside of the major tournaments, perhaps the tournaments that the casual armchair fan will watch on the television, there's some real quality darts being played, isn't there, elsewhere on the schedule?
Yeah, and I think that's to be... the players need to be congratulated for that because, as I understand it, and Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, at the Pro Tour event, it's literally just family that are allowed into...
Yeah, no fans, it's just a couple of guests.
Exactly. So to get yourself motivated to shoot the sort of numbers that Ian White has there, as opposed to being watched by 10,000 fans in a noisy German arena or the O2, it's a credit to them that they're able to get themselves up for that week in, week out. And we've seen ridiculous amounts of 9-darters, and I think that they get, is it a silver pin or a gold pin for those. So, again, high standard, and mentally, I think a lot of credit goes to the players for that.
Yeah, they're so hard to win. I mean, you think you're playing, if you have to win the title, you're playing 7 games in a day. And as I think Daryl Gurney said, he finds these Pro Tours harder to win than a major TV event because you're winning one game, 110 average, 5 minutes later you're back on. So fair play to him.
They must be very tiring as well, especially they're playing
mentally as well as physically.
Yeah, exactly. 2 days in a row from around about midday to, if you progress well into the tournament, into the evening. So the concentration will take it out of you. So as I say, deserve a lot of credit.
Josh, from those 4 events, are there any other standout performances that have caught your eye recently that you wanted to maybe mention on the show and give us a heads up for the future?
Well, he hasn't won any tournaments recently, John, but Justin Pipe is a man who's had a real resurgence in terms of performances. A lot of ton-plus averages, beating a lot of top players. He's not going to be in the World Grand Prix, should be in the European Championship, I believe. But Justin Pipe is a player I think could be quite dangerous in the second half of the season. Okay, good. Well, we'll keep an eye on him, obviously. So that is your Players' Championship roundup. Josh, the next tournament coming up, the biggie, the next major, is the World Grand Prix, isn't it? And we've just had the field confirmed for that. Yep, awfully a double-in tournament in Dublin, funnily enough. Dublin in Dublin. One of the most unique tournaments on the calendar. It really is tough for a player. I mean, it's a completely different dynamic. You know, if you're having a bad day on the doubles, obviously doubles are crucial in any darts match, but particularly in this event, if you're a little bit off, you're going to be punished to the hilt. So it should be a really interesting event. Obviously, Michael van Gerwen, defending champion. Got a couple of debutants. Nathan Aspinall being one of them. Krzysztof Ratajski, very dangerous on the floor if he can transfer that form to the TV stage. We've got Glenn Durrant, BDO world champion, making his Dublin debut. Jamie Hughes as well. Chris Dobie, and also World Youth Champion Dimitri van den Berg. So really exciting lineup this year.
Neil, it really is a unique format, isn't it? The World Grand Prix with starting on a double. What's your doubling like, Neil? Would you be able to get off the mark early doors?
No, the game would probably be over before I've even started in the double in, double out format. It's one of my favourite tournaments because of that. Because as I think I said before, I like the different formats and the different challenges that it brings. Doing the research for Challenge Josh today, I learnt a few things about what the double in means in terms of 9 darters, and we'll talk about that a bit later.
Get your calculator out, Josh. That's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, I agree. I think the tournaments that do offer something a little bit different in terms of the format, the doubling that we're talking about there, the World Cup of Darts, Josh, the team events is always a good one for me. And I just like it being mixed up a little bit every now and then and giving us something different.
Exactly. I think it does give maybe the lesser players, it's more of an even playing field. I mean, we saw Robert Thornton at this event. Now, Robert's a great player. He's a 2-time major winner. But he was so good on double top. He's one of the best double top hitters in the game. And that gave him a fantastic platform to go on and win the tournament. Michael van Gerwen's obviously won this a number of times, looking to defend his title, but he's never defended the World Grand Prix title. Will this be the first year he does it? We'll have to find out.
Neil, we'll come to the odds shortly in the odds section, but before we look at that, are there any players just off the top of your head that you expect to have a good run in the tournament? Anyone who's in sort of form at the moment that you fancy could make a real run at it?
I think Mensur Suljovic is the one. 2 recent victories. And as Josh said earlier, that there seems to be a bit more inner belief than there may have been in the past. Yeah. So I would say Mensur stands a very good chance.
Well, actually, I'm going to ask you for your official pick. So is that you give me a no? Now it comes serious. You don't want to go Mensur, no?
Michael van Gerwen.
Michael van Gerwen. All right, fair enough.
No, I will go with Mensur Suljovic.
You're going to go Mensur.
For double in, double out in Dublin. Can you say that, Josh?
You can.
Dublin. Okay, well, it'd be interesting to get the odds on that.
I can't, you can.
I'll give you mine. I'm going to go James Wade.
Shock.
Always my favourite. I'm going to back him. He's in form, as we've just mentioned. Josh, who do you fancy?
I was going to go for James Wade, John, because of his doubling prowess, especially on tops and tens, but I'm going to go for Peter Wright. He's had a real resurgence in form since the Premier League, playing well, got to the final last year. I'm going to back him to go one better this year.
Okay, guys, well, there's our selections for the tournament. If you think differently, get in touch with us and let us know. You can tweet us at Josh's Dartistry and give us your pick for the World Grand Prix. Josh, just looking a little bit further ahead, what other tournaments have we got coming up after that?
Well, it's a busy schedule now, John. Obviously, we've got the Champions League of Darts. That's going to be held in Leicester for the first time. That's the world's top 8. They're split into 2 groups of 4. Top 2 progress to the semis and the final. And then at the end of October, we've got the European Championship, which is being held in Dortmund, I believe.
Okay, well, that is your darting roundup. Congratulations to all the players who picked up trophies of some sort, and we look forward to the World Grand Prix and seeing how they fare in that.
This is Paul Nicholson, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
You're listening to the Josh's Dartistry podcast. Don't forget you can check us out on Facebook, the Josh's Dartistry page. You can also follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry. And you can also go to our website, www.joshisdartistry.com, for all the latest news, blogs and information on the world of darts. Don't forget you can also call us and leave us a message on our voicemail box. That's 07739 738 329. That's 07739 738 329. Call our voicemail box, leave us a message, leave us a question, and we may play it on the show. Now back to the show.
Hi, this is Diogo Portela, and you're listening to Josh Dartistry.
Right then, welcome back to the show. It's now time to get some odds.
Cool, what are the odds?
Okay, let's hand you over to resident odds checker, Mr. Neil Connor.
Let's get straight to it with the World Grand Prix that we've already discussed. No surprise that Michael van Gerwen is the tournament favourite at 81-50.
Defending champion.
Yep. The bookies are still, as I think I said on the last episode, that they're very much around evens or even odds on for Michael for most tournaments. So they're still not convinced that he's quite at his best yet. And as I say, 81 to 50. Now I think there is some real value a bit further down. So if he was to get knocked out, Josh's pick, Peter Wright, is 8 to 1 alongside Rob Cross. Gary Anderson 10 to 1. Gerwin Price 14s. Daryl Gurney 16s. Our picks, John, James Wade and Mensur Sulovic 20 to 1.
Go on, James.
Looking a bit further down, Joe Cullen, we've already discussed, 80 to 1. And then the outsiders for the event are Steve Beaton and Vincent van der Voort at 150 to 1.
Now, you said Rob Cross 8 to 1. Is that 8 to 1 second favourite? Who's the second favourite?
Peter Wright and Rob Cross joined second favourites at 8 to 1.
8 to 1 for a second favourite.
Yeah.
I think it's so open though, and I think if you look at Rob Cross, I think in both of his previous appearances, he's lost to Steve Beaton in the first round. He's never won a game here, so it's difficult. He's not really got any kind of pedigree in this tournament, and it's a completely different tournament to any other. So it's hard as a bookie. It's hard to pick, really. I think.
Okay, so moving on to the Champions League of Darts, defending champion is Gary Anderson. So as Josh mentioned earlier, it's the 8 best players in the world that perform in the Champions League, a very favourite event of mine, for many reasons.
Yeah, we get the Champions League reference. Move on.
Not just in the darting world. Okay, so Van Gerwen, 7 to 5 favourite. Rob Cross, second favourite, 5 to 1. Peter Wright, 6 to 1. Defending champion, Anderson, 7 to 1. Michael Smith, 10s. Gerwin Price, 12s, alongside Daryl Gurney. And James Wade, considered the outsider, 14 to 1. So again, some quite decent value. All 8 players capable of winning. Should Michael van Gerwen get knocked out, there may be some value there.
Well, he's never won it, Van Gerwen, in 3 attempts. So
yeah,
you never know.
So looking at James Wade, 14 to 1, maybe worth an each way shout. I've also got the odds for the 2 groups. So Group A consists of Michael van Gerwen, Gary Anderson, Michael Smith, and James Wade. Van Gerwen is 5 to 4 on to win that group. Gary Anderson just over 3 to 1. Michael Smith 5 to 1 and James Wade 6 to 1. So again, if you fancy James Wade to win just the group, not the tournament outright, 6 to 1. Group B, Rob Cross 3 to 2 favourite to win Group B. Peter Wright close second favourite 2 to 1. And the outsiders considered to be Daryl Gurney and Gerwin Price at 9 to 2. So some fairly decent value there. And for you, John, 14 to 1 for James Wade to win the tournament.
Josh, just remind me, Champions League, what's the date that takes place?
It starts the 19th of October and it finishes on the 20th. It's the weekend event on the BBC.
Okay, so without knowing when we're going to record our next episode 19, I've asked you for your picks for the Grand Prix. Let me ask you for your picks for the Champions League. Now, obviously, we've got a smaller section of runners and riders. There's only 8 players to choose from, so we can narrow this down a little bit more. Josh, I'm going to go with you first, please. Let's have your pick to win the Champions League.
I'm going to go with Michael van Gerwen. He's never won it before in 3 attempts. Hasn't reached the final since the opening year. I think it's about time he gets his name on the trophy.
Okay, fair shout. I am going to plump for Mr. Rob Cross to take this one. Neil, who you fancy?
Michael van Gerwen, same reasons as Josh.
You two are so boring.
I think he will want this one on his list of honours.
Okay, well, there's not a lot of money to be made there, but if you want to go for that, that's absolutely fine. Neil, have you got anything else for us odds-wise?
No, but once we've listened to Raymond van Barneveld, I will give a couple of updates in terms of odds for Raymond, as I promised earlier.
Okay, excellent. Once we've had a chat with Raymond, we will discuss that. If you fancy a bet on the next couple of tournaments, hopefully Neil's given you some direction about the best places to place your money. As ever here on the JDP, we remind you to please gamble responsibly, and when the fun stops, stop.
Cool, what are the odds?
You're listening to Josh's Dartistry. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook by going to the Josh's Dartistry page. You can follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry, or go to the website www.joshisdartistry.com for the latest news and insight to the world of darts. You can also leave us a comment or a question via our voicemail box. Just call 07739 738 329. Leave us a message and we may play it on air. Now back to the show.
Hi, this is Rod Studd from Sky Sports, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry podcast.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Josh, Raymond van Barneveld. I can see the excitement on your face as I say those words. You had the fortune to have a chat with Raymond earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, very interesting chat, John, talking about a number of different topics. Obviously, 3 or 4 months left of his career now. His hope for the rest of the year. Obviously, targeting the World Championship, life after retirement, plenty of topics covered. So, yeah, have a listen.
So, guys, I'm delighted here to be joined by legendary 5-time world champion Raymond van Barneveld. Raymond, many thanks for joining me.
Thank you, no problem.
So first things first, Ray, we're sitting here now about 4 months until you officially retire from the game. What are your emotions? Is it a mixture of sadness or excitement, or a bit of both?
No, it's not really a fantastic year for me.
Mm-hmm.
It started pretty bad with the World Championship, losing in the first round to Darius Sabanowskis from Lithuania.
Yeah.
Then one of the worst Premier Leagues ever. I got relegated in week 9, in Rotterdam, even when it was in Holland. Not selected for the World Cup. Didn't play the World Match Play. Obviously, maybe not points enough to get in the World Grand Prix or in the Grand Slam. Tomorrow I have to do well to qualify for Gibraltar and maybe get in the Euros. If that's not going to happen, it's going to be a really poor year to say goodbye to all of my fans, because simply I'm not being there.
No, of course. But if we're looking more on the positives, obviously you were competing in the World Series last month down under, and you had some good performances there. You had the best average of the tournament in Melbourne, and obviously you reached the final in Hamilton. So that must give you some confidence.
It's a bit up and down. Average-wise, I played a fantastic game, but one round later I lost to Peter Wright. And in the final in New Zealand, they got 8-1 beating of Michael van Gerwen. So, sometimes you see the positive things, and sometimes you see the negative things about it, and it's still like losing games. So, average-wise, it can be okay. Results are only important if you win tournaments.
And obviously you mentioned in a lot of interviews before, Raymond, obviously you are a winner. You've won so many major tournaments in the past. Is that the reason why you decided to retire? Because you want to win and you're not winning as often now?
No, I know. It's been in my head for the last 2 years, I guess. 5 years ago, I won my last tournament individually, apart from winning the World Cups with Michael van Gerwen. That is a pair championship, not individual. If you don't win tournaments for a year, okay, that's okay. Not for 2 years, you start worrying a bit. Not for 3 years, you're thinking, am I still good for this game? And then the last 2 years, you're thinking, wow, what am I doing? Why is this not going to happen? And then I got a lot of friends and fans who are telling me, Ray, we believe in you, and it's coming. But after 5 years, if it's not coming, then you have to be honest with yourself and look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm not good enough anymore to lift trophies and win tournaments. And I'm not like a person to, go to tournaments and got beat first or second round. I don't think I deserve that for myself and my fans. They always believe in me, and I thought it was a good moment to say goodbye to everyone. And focusing on doing nice things in life, like giving exhibitions and things like that.
No, of course. And you mentioned your fans there, Raymond. Obviously, we saw in the Premier League the support you got was incredible, and the World Series. I don't think I've ever seen a player, it doesn't matter where you are, whether it's in Holland, England, Ireland, Wales, Australia, the support you get is just unbelievable. That must mean a lot to you.
Of course. I got the best fans in the world, the Barney Army fans. They are everywhere. And I'm so happy and delighted. They follow me and they send me best wishes and they believe in me. I'm gonna miss them, of course. Sometimes I do exhibitions or I'll be somewhere and people really got tears in their eyes. Ray, you can't leave us. You can't do this to us because we're going to miss you. Some other people were telling me I'm not going to watch darts again without you. It doesn't make sense anymore because all the fun is out of it now. And that gives you a massive, fantastic, good feeling, of course. But at the end, you're not going to last forever. I'm 52. I know I'm way too young to give up. But to be fair, between you and me, it's hard for me to battle every day against yourself and handling the defeats and the traveling all the time. I've got grandchildren now. I got kids, and I barely see them. 35 years in this business, it's a really long time, and every time you are on the road, and there's absolutely no time for friends and family. And hopefully from January the 1st, 2020, I can give them more attention.
No, of course. And also, you mentioned there the exhibitions that you're going to be playing regularly. Have you got any plans after retirement almost to go into the media side of it? Because I've seen you've been a pundit a few times on Dutch television.
Yeah, that's what I like, Well, if ITV or Sky wants me, no problem, I'll be available. I think my English is good enough to let everyone know what I mean and that they understand me. Be open for that kind of work if it fits. First the exhibitions are important, but above all, you still have to earn your way of living, of course. I did not decided what is the next step. Maybe do some management with players in the future, or maybe build a dart school and learn youth how to play this game or whatever, or find sponsoring to build a team. I have no clue what's coming on my path at the moment.
And just looking ahead at a few tournaments you have qualified for, Raymond, you're going to be at the World Series finals after your performances in New Zealand, and that means you'll be in Amsterdam. So that'll be a fantastic farewell for you, won't it?
Yes, of course, but there is only one big tournament left for me, and that's the Worlds, and I'm focusing on the Worlds. Amsterdam is fantastic, of course. It's in your own country. So hopefully it will have the same atmosphere as Rotterdam. So I'm really looking forward to that in Amsterdam. And then probably the Players Finals, Championship Finals in Minehead. And hopefully the World Championship. And I hope I have a good run for me, the family, and my fans.
I was going to mention the World Championship because obviously you've always said it's the one. It's always the one that seems to really fire you up the most. And apart from last year, you've got a really good record there. I think you've reached the semis in 4 of the last 6 years. So you must believe you've still got the game to go and have a really good run there.
I know. The World Championship means the world to me because, in my opinion, it's the only tournament. The rest of the calendar is fantastic, brilliant tournaments everywhere throughout the world. Don't get me wrong, but the World Championship means for every dart player means that you're the best in the world. Apart from the prize money, everyone is watching with Christmas. There's no football in Holland and in some parts of the world, but at the end, lifting that trophy is the most important one. You become big player then when you win it. You got a star on your shirt, and then everyone knows that you're the world champion, and everyone wants to be you in that year because that is the title every dart player who wants to win.
Of course, and I suspect I may know the answer to this one, but looking back, you've had so many amazing memories and moments in your career, Ram. But if you could pick out just one moment from your career, the best moment, what moment would that one be?
That's without a doubt my first Lakeside win, because that win changed my life. Try to understand, I was a postman in Holland, and every day I was dreaming about a professional career. In 1995, I lost the final against Richie Burnett, so I was hoping to get a professional dart player. Unfortunately, no luck in Holland. Sponsors were still waiting, because what is this sport? What is it going to do in the future? Is it worth it to sponsor this man? And then in 1998, I fell on my knees and proved that this could happen to a Dutch guy. And it was amazing. I changed my life. I didn't work as a postman anymore. I became a professional dart player. I lost the final in 95, and I was dreaming of a career in darts like a professional dart player. Every day I dreamt about it, and lost that final against Richie in 95, and now 21 years later I'm still living a good life in darts, have a good living with this game. So I'm very happy that I left that trophy back in 1998 because it changed my whole life. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you've seen recently in the news, but Phil Taylor's hinted at a possible comeback to darts, having retired in 2018. Obviously, you're quite close with Phil. Do you expect him to make a comeback? And if so, do you think he'd be a success?
Well, Phil is always Phil, you know. If I know Phil, he says he just loved the way he lives right now. So I don't really believe he's coming back. I think it's just when he saw the new point system of target, you know, with the launch, the Swiss system, and he was so excited about the world is changing in this world in darts, you know, all the things and accessories are improving. So I think he was a bit overexcited, but I won't believe he's coming back. In a way, he will miss it. It's the same as I will. You got a lot of attention, of course, throughout the internet and on TV. But I think he did enough for the sport, and he knows that as well. So I think the chance is very, very rare or low that he will come back.
And you must be proud, Raymond. Obviously, you put Dutch darts on the map, winning that title. And when you see the amount of incredible Dutch players we have now, obviously Michael van Gerwen being one, you must be quite proud of the legacy you're leaving behind.
Yes, of course. There's so many talented players in Holland right now, and Michael is amazing. What he does for darts, you know, sometimes I'm thinking, wow, I was good, Phil was good, but this guy is winning so many tournaments, like floor tournaments, like Euro Tours, majors, being for so long number one in the world, and winning the Premier League, I think for 7-8 years, as a ranking means something, right? You know, if the best 10 players always in the top 10 in the Premier League, and you always ring the league table after 16 or 17 weeks, that says a lot. And then in all these Premier Leagues, he won 5 or 6 of them in the final. So amazing.
No, of course. Well, listen, Raymond, you've given us some incredible memories over your career. I'm sure there's a few more to come. Best of luck for the rest of the year. And many thanks for speaking to me today, Raymond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers, bye-bye.
Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry.
Well, there you go, folks. That's Josh's interview with the man, the myth, the legend, really, Raymond van Barneveld. Josh, lots to say from the big man himself. Found it a very interesting interview. You must have enjoyed that, Josh.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed speaking to Raymond. He's an absolute gentleman of the game. Always honest and open and insightful, so great to have a chat with him. Found it quite interesting when he talked about his best moment of his career.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I mean, obviously, winning the 2007 final against Phil Taylor, that was the moment I really started to fall in love with darts, really. It's the first time I ever watched.
And if you ask a lot of people their sort of biggest memory from darts or my favourite game, that is the match that comes up time and time again, isn't it? Yeah,
it's probably his greatest win in terms of performance, but I do understand where he's coming from. Obviously, you know, at the Lakeside, he was a postman, and that allowed him to achieve his dream, becoming a professional darts player. I mean, without that title in 1998, he probably wouldn't be where he was in 2007. So that gave him the platform for the following success. But yeah, really interesting interview with Raymond, and very open and honest, and like I say, he's really hopeful of having a good end to his career. Obviously targeting the World Championship, he's always performed well there over the last few years, barring last year's disappointment, so hopefully he'll sign off in style.
Neil, one of the big things that Barney mentioned in that interview there was life after darts. Spoke a lot about possibly getting involved in, I know the exhibitions will always be there, but spoke about possibly getting involved in the media side of darts. Do you think Barney's a good fit for that kind of role?
I think so. I think he talks about it in his interview that his English is good enough for him to be able to do that. It would be great to see him and Phil on commentary together.
Imagine that.
I watched some football not so long ago where we had the great rivals Jose Mourinho and Arsene Wenger together, and it was great. It really brought a different dynamic to the event. So, yeah, I think Barney, all these top players, you know, we've seen with Wayne Mardle what he offers on commentary. Just that additional insight that you get from someone that's played the game at the top level. So, as I say, I'd love to see him and Phil behind the microphone together.
Josh, Barney spoke quite openly and honestly there about his reasons for retiring. You know, he said he's a winner and he's not been winning matches and tournaments, and that's had a big effect on his decision, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to him in previous years, and he's always kind of maintained 55. He was going to retire and give up. He's obviously only 52 years old, but I think he's looked at it and he's thought, I'm not winning. I'm a winner. I mean, he's won 5 world titles, countless other major tournaments, and I don't think he wants to drift away from the game. Where he's 100th in the world and he's not appearing in any events and he's lost his tour card. He doesn't want to get to that stage. I still think he's good enough to be playing on the tour. We've seen that with his averages recently. He's averaged 100 in a lot of games. But I think the travelling takes its toll. Obviously, his health issues. He's not getting any younger. The tour's so competitive now, and I think it's just come to a natural conclusion. I think he wants to sign out on his own terms. I think that's quite important to him.
So come on then. What odds would you expect him to be for the 2020 World Championship, his farewell?
It's tough because he's probably going to be a non-seeded player, which means he could, in the second round, potentially draw Van Gerwen, Anderson, Cross. So I'll probably say around about 100 to 1.
John, what's your predicted odds?
Well, although he might be out of form, so to speak, he's still got pedigree, hasn't he? He's won it. He's been there. He knows.
I think 4 semis in the last 7 years.
Yeah, he knows what it's all about. He's used to the format. I don't think I'm going to be a million miles away from where Josh is. I'm going to give him a little bit more credit. I'm going to go 80 to 1.
Okay, so I think 2 decent guesses, and even the bookies aren't totally sure and a bit divided. So if we look at Sporting Bet, he is 80 to 1, John, as per you. Dead on the money.
Get myself a job in the bookies.
Sky Bet offering 150 to 1 currently on Barney.
I might have a couple of quid on that.
That's a big difference.
So, as I say, I can see something coming up. Will he play in the Grand Slam?
He's not currently in the Grand Slam, but you can enter the qualifier for that. He's in the World Series finals in Amsterdam. He's going to be in the Players' Championship finals, and obviously definitely the World. So he's got 3 guaranteed tournaments, if you like, possibly the Grand Slam to come.
So I don't think it will happen at the Worlds. I think that will be an emotional occasion for him. But I think there will be a last hurrah, and we'll see the old Barney maybe not win, but certainly go a distance into one of the bigger tournaments.
Possibly the World Series finals in Amsterdam. Obviously, it's only 24 players. He's guaranteed to be a seed. He's going to enter the last 16 in front of his home fans. He's got a good record in Holland. You never know.
It's certainly going to be a rousing reception, isn't it? Upon his return to Ali Pali, his first game, I'm comparing it to the Rotterdam doubleheader that we saw this year in the Premier League. I think the roof's going to come off Ali Pali when he comes out this year, isn't it?
Oh, most certainly. I mean, he referenced in his interview here how much the fans mean to him. The support he gets, it doesn't matter if he's in Holland, England, Scotland, Ireland, wherever, he gets incredible support. It means a lot to him. But Neil mentioned it there. It's going to be quite emotional. It's going to be tough to try and contain that emotion and try and focus, because obviously going up there knowing it could be your last game, it's quite a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So obviously I just hope he's got the experience, he's got the pedigree, like you've said, so hopefully he can kind of control that emotion and produce a performance we know he's capable of.
Well, you say about his last game, it may not be. I mean, we're going to have a little chat a little bit later on in the news section about a former legend who there's a lot of rumours flying around whether we're going to see him back on the hockey. So all I'll say, Josh, I don't want to go into too much detail, but you never know.
You never know, although Raymond obviously did reference Phil Taylor in that interview, and he said he doesn't expect Phil to come back. And obviously Phil and Raymond are still quite close. They play a lot of exhibitions together. I think Raymond's been pretty adamant this is it for him. Even though he says he is quite young to retire as a darts player, he says this is it in terms of competitive darts. I believe him. Phil Taylor, you never know, but I can't see it myself.
Seems to be enjoying himself away from the hockey at the moment. If you follow him on Instagram, he's always posting photos of travelling up and down the country and around the world and visiting places and enjoying himself. So, he hasn't qualified for the usual number of tournaments that we see him qualify for due to his circumstances, but he seems to be in a good place mentally and enjoying himself and a smile on his face, Josh.
He does, and he's been playing at the top level now for nearly 35 years, John. And as you mentioned there, he's got family, he's got grandkids, he wants to start spending time with his family, and obviously the circuit is so demanding, the travelling, obviously being from Holland, he's having to come to England all the time for these events. So it does take its toll. So it gives him more time to enjoy life.
Neil, obviously we wish Barney luck for the remainder of the year, and we look forward to seeing him play out the final chapter of his career across the next few months.
Yep, and hopefully we'll see, for Josh's benefit as well as Raymond's, a romantic ending to what's been a quite fantastic career.
Okay, well, from all three of us on the JDP, Barney, we thank you immensely for taking the time to come on the show and have a chat with us. You're always welcome on the show, even when your career's finished and maybe you move on to greener pastures. You'll always be welcome on the JDP. And a thank you to everything you've given us in the world of darts. But I'm sure we'll save that for after the World Champs, and we'll have another chat about Barney then. But in the meantime, thank you so much. Thanks for your support, and good luck for the rest of the season.
You're listening to Josh's Dartistry. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook by going to the Josh's Dartistry page. You can follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry, or go to the website www.joshsdartistry.com for all the latest news and insight into the world of darts. You can also leave us a comment or a question via our voicemail box. Just call 07739 738 329 and leave us a message, and we may play it live on air. Now back to the show.
Hi, it's Adrian Lewis, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry podcast.
Right then, let's do this. It's Challenge Josh.
Challenge Josh.
Right then, gentlemen, let's have a good, clean fight. Josh is poised with pen and pad in hand. Neil, on the opposite side of the table, staring him square in the eye, has the questions in front of him. So, without further ado, let me hand you over to a resident quizmaster, Mr. Neil Connor.
Thank you, John. As I alluded to earlier, topical Challenge Josh this episode. It's going to focus on the World Darts Grand Prix. He's just shut his eyes. I'm not really sure. These are pure darting questions, Josh.
Okey-doke.
There's going to be no shenanigans as maybe there was.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say there will be some shenanigans.
I don't think there are. I think this is pure darting.
You're not going to ask him about, the...
bed and breakfast.
Yeah, something like that.
No, none of that nonsense this episode. So with that, let's get to it.
Here we go with question number 1.
I'm actually a little bit upset because in our preview of the World Darts Grand Prix earlier, we probably touched on a couple of these areas, but so probably puts a bit more pressure on you when I do get to those questions. Okay, nice and easy, nice gentle start. What is the venue for the World Darts Grand Prix?
The City West Hotel in Dublin.
Dublin in...
Ireland.
Okay. Well,
as opposed to Dublin in what? Like, I don't know, Czechoslovakia. I'll take it that's correct, Neil, is it?
It is correct.
Okay, good start. Dublin in Dublin. Here we go. Question number 2.
What is special about the format for the World Darts Grand Prix?
You have to start on a double as well as finish on a double.
Of course, correct.
It is double in, double out in Dublin.
Okay, good start. Let's move on to question number 3.
Who is the defending champion? Who did he beat? And what was the score?
Oh, hello. Is it 1 point for the entire correct answer?
Correct.
Got to get everything right for the point.
Yes.
Okay.
Michael van Gerwen defeated Peter Wright 5-2.
Yeah, well remembered. 5-2 win for Michael van Gerwen against Peter Wright. Well done.
Very good. Moving on, 3 out of 3. Question 4. Who are the sponsors for the 2019 World Darts Grand Prix?
Unibet.
Incorrect. Tripped him up early doors. It's
Boyle Sport.
Yes, I think Boyle Sports have got a 3-year sponsorship deal from
Unibet.
2019 onwards.
Too little, too late, Josh. You went too early.
He did, didn't he?
There was an air of arrogance about that answer as well, but a smugness.
I always think when he gets one wrong in the first 5, the pressure mounts.
Yeah. Okay. That's a failure on that one. So we'll move on to question number 5.
What is the prize money on offer for the 2019 champion?
£110,000.
Yeah, confident with that answer. That's a nice little wedge of cash there, Josh, to pick up.
Yeah, not bad for a week's work, is it, John?
Yeah, it's all right. It's decent, that. Neil, question number 6, yeah?
Yep. Okay. Can you name the 6 players who will make their debuts at this year's World Grand Prix?
All 6 for the point, Neil, yeah?
All 6 for the point.
Okay.
He's already spoken about most of them, I think.
Let's give him a bit of time. He's going to write some names down, I suppose. So we'll give him a little bit of thinking time before we ask him for for all 6. Let's just stop that for a second while he has a little scribble. Just looking over at my right hand shoulder, Neil. He's got at least 3 names, and then he stopped. He has now gone on to a 4th name. I think Neil, he might be.
I think I'm ready.
Okay, right. Let's take them in. Let's take them one by one, shall we?
Nathan Aspinall.
Correct.
Glenn Durrant.
Correct.
Christoph Ratajski.
Correct. 3 more.
Jamie Hughes.
Correct.
Chris Dobie.
And finally,
Dimitri van den Berg.
Absolutely smashed it. Well done, Josh. Well done. Nice to see so many debutants this year, Josh. It's
always freshens it up, doesn't it? Always exciting, yeah.
Makes things a bit more interesting. Neil, out of those 6 people, I know I've already asked you for your pick to win the tournament, but out of those 6, Neil, who do you fancy to do the best in the tournament?
Well, it's a tough one because you've got Aspinall, already got pedigree and won a major earlier in the year. Ratajski, always a difficult opponent and at times fairly prolific when he gets going. And then there's Glenn Durrant, and we've spoken about him previously and how well he's done in his first year. So
how's that fence feeling then?
I'm going to say Glenn Durrant.
Yeah, Durrant's my pick to go deepest, Josh.
Okay.
I'm going to go for Nathan Aspinall.
Nathan Aspinall. Okay, we'll keep our eyes on the debutants.
You play a dangerous game.
Okay, Neil, let's move it on to question number 7.
Okay, so just to top up, so we're 5 out of 6 at the moment.
5 out of 6,
okay.
yeah, and this is question 7.
Question 7. When was the World Grand Prix founded?
Do you mean the inaugural year of the first competition, yeah?
Correct.
Okay.
1998.
Very good. Well-established competition, Josh. Been going for a long time.
As indeed, John. Yeah, one of the most established on the PDC calendar.
Okay, I was going to ask who the inaugural winner was, but I don't know. That might be in Neil's bag of tricks, so I'm not going to ask that, and I'm not going to ask you to answer it. Are we ready for the next question, Neil?
Question 8. What was the original venue for the inaugural World Dance Grand Prix? And I have been to this place. It was held there in 1998 and 1999.
It was Rochester in Kent.
That's not the name of a venue, is it? That's the name of a town in a county.
He's done quite well there.
The question was, what was the name of the venue, if I'm not mistaken? Am I being unfair, Neil? You're grimacing at my comment. I think
the town and the county is a very good attempt.
I'll tell you what, you are going soft in your old age.
I think we should give it to him.
Oh, what is this becoming?
This place, I'm not even sure. I think it's still there, and it may have changed its name. So,
can you read the question again, please?
What was the original venue for the World Darts Grand Prix?
The clue is in the question.
Yeah, but venue could be town.
No. The venue is the building, not the town.
I think he's done well there.
Listen, if you're the quizmaster, if you want me to give him the point,
yeah,
I'll give him the point. But I think you've been very soft there. Do you know the name of the venue?
I do. I've been there.
So then Josh should know the name of the venue.
And do you want to have a stab? And I'm going to give you the point. But
right,
do you want to have a stab?
Let's give him the point. Much against my better judgment, but well done. But any name of the venue, Josh?
It'll be a complete. I'm going to go. No, I don't have a clue. I can't.
The Kent Village Hall.
Yeah.
It was the Casino Rooms.
Casino Rooms?
The Casino
Which
Rooms.
is a nightclub that I have been
to. Do you know
to.
what? I was just about to say the casino sounds quite seedy.
No comment.
The sort of place you go in with loads of cash and come out with not much left. Okay, all right.
That's where I met my wife, John.
Oh, there we go. That explains a lot. Moving on. So we've given you the point for that rather generously, in my opinion. So we are 7 out of 8. Let's move it on then to question number 9.
Who was the first player to hit a 9-dart finish at the World Darts Grand Prix?
Brendan Dolan.
Okay. Do you know the year and who he beat? Or who he threw that against?
He threw it against James Wade in the semis. I think it was 2011.
Very good.
Great additional knowledge. Well done. Well done. Okay, Neil, let's have question number 10.
In 2014, 2 players hit 9-darters in the same match. Who were they?
Robert Thornton and James Wade.
Yeah, very famous match. If you go on YouTube and look that up, it's a real diamond, that one, isn't it? I mean, the 9 darts rare in itself, but to get 2 in the same match, Josh. That was an incredible night, wasn't it?
Yeah, because obviously it's a double start. You got to finish on a ball, really. And there's only been 3 in the history.
Yeah.
So to have 2 in one match is mental, really.
Is incredible. Okay, that was question 10. So you're 9 out of 10. Neil, let's go to question 11.
Who has recorded the highest one-match average in World Grand Prix history? And what was that average to the nearest whole number?
That's tough.
I'm pretty sure it was Alan Warren a little.
Is that your answer for who it was?
Yeah.
Okay, and to the nearest whole number?
I was doing an article about Alan Warren a few weeks ago. 106.448.
Very precise, 106.48. So, first of all, Neil, is Alan Warren a little correct?
It is.
And Josh has gone with 106.48. What was the answer?
106.45.
That is incredible knowledge.
It is incredible.
That's very good, Josh. I'm impressed with that.
In the first round in 2001 via Andy Jenkins, but well done. That was very good.
Yeah, that is seriously impressive, mate. Well done, well done. Okay, you are 10 out of 11. Neil, let's have question number 12.
Which little-known player shocked darting greats Phil Taylor and Dennis the Menace Priestley in the 2004 edition to reach the quarterfinals?
Andy Calaby.
Andy Calaby, is that correct, Neil? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Not a name we've ever heard a lot of, Josh.
No, he kind of came from nowhere, and he also reached the UK Open quarterfinals, I think, 2006. I was doing an article for Sky about biggest shocks. I remember that was one of them. And obviously he's not active on the circuit now, but very famous tournament for him.
You have been doing your research, haven't you, Neil?
I have indeed, yes.
Right then, let's have question number 13.
To achieve a 9-darter in a double-in, double-out game, doesn't have to be in Dublin.
Could be in Kent.
Nice place, Kent.
In the casino rooms.
Have you been to Rochester?
I haven't,
The
no.
castle?
No.
I thoroughly recommend it, and you go there during the Charles Dickens Festival.
So boring.
It's well worth a visit. Anyway, to achieve a 9-darter in a double-in, double-out...
You can't even say it.
Double-in, double-out game, what score do you need to achieve with your first dart? And there are 3 possible answers.
Your first dart.
First dart
Not your
of
first
the leg.
3 darts.
No,
Just your
first
dart.
of the leg.
Okay.
There are 3 darts you can throw that will enable you to achieve a 9-dart finish.
So you've got 40 double tops, 34 double 17, and the bullseye 50.
Yeah, that is correct. Well worked out. Good knowledge, that, Neil?
It is very good. I'm going to have to make this more difficult going forward.
Okay, I'm sure you've got 2 questions left to do that, and I'm sure you're more than capable. So, Josh, you are 12 out of 13. Just the one wrong, the early doors answer you got wrong. Let's move it on, Neil, to second from last question, question 14.
Which tournament did the World Grand Prix replace in 1998?
There is a look of anguish. Could be stumped here, Neil. Could be stumped. You're right that you've raised it up a notch with this question. Let's have a listen. Josh is approaching the microphone.
It's going to be a bit of a stab in the dark. I think it was a pairs event. I'm pretty sure because I believe Taylor and Bristow might have won it once, and Barney and Shelton. Was it the World Team Championship?
Is that your final answer? The World Team Championship.
Final answer?
Yeah.
That is incorrect, Neil.
It was a very good guess. It's the World Pairs Tournament.
Oh, that's a good stab, though, Josh. That is a good stab.
It is, but I think based on the way things have gone, the odd wrong answer doesn't hurt.
Generous answer earlier, so I think it's probably the right decision. Okay, unlucky. It was a good effort, but that is incorrect. Last question then. Question number 15. He's got 2 wrong so far, Neil. Let's see if you can make it 3 wrong for the round. Here we go.
In 1997... which pairing won the World Pairs Tournament? 1997.
I think it was Raymond van Barneveld and Roland Shelton.
Always finish on a Barney question, Neil. Always finish on a Barney question.
That gives it away a little bit, doesn't it? Yes, well done.
Was
Josh.
that correct? Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
That was correct. Yeah, good answer. So 13 out of 15. I think that represents quite a good return. I was surprised at the early one he got wrong, Neil. But
yeah, I think he was a little bit rash on that.
Yeah, because I knew it had been previously, but I've been getting press releases from the PDC about the Ball Sports World Grand Prix, so I shouldn't have got that one wrong.
I have to say the Alan Warren a little 106.4 was very good.
Particularly
It was lucky because I've been researching it the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
Don't admit that, Josh. Just make out that your knowledge is excellent. Don't give it away. Okay, 13 out of 15. I think that represents a very good return. Well done, Josh. Congratulations. I think you should be proud of that.
He should be, and I think we're gonna buzz off to the casino rooms in Rochester
meet you there
for a celebratory drink.
Looking forward to that. Okay, that's this episode's challenge, Josh, and we look forward to the next episode.
Challenge Josh.
This is Jamie Caven, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, welcome back to the JDP, and it's time for your darting news roundup.
News.
Right, Josh, just looking at the agenda that we put together before the show, we've got some darting news stories to bring to the listeners. However, before we go on to that, I just wanted to mention that the podcast got nominated for a bit of an award, really. We were named in the top 5 darting podcasts by the founder of FeedSpot, Anuj Agarwal. It was quite a welcome letter you received, wasn't it?
yeah, very pleasing to hear that, John. I think, obviously, we've been going now for over 18 months or so. We've kind of tried to establish ourselves, and it was very nice recognition to get.
Yeah, it's nice to be noticed, Neil, isn't it? It was nice when that came along. There was some very good darting podcasts out there, as we all know. There's more than just us out there, and we were named amongst some of the elite in the top 5, weren't we?
Yeah, and it came out of the blue, so it was extra special. And as you say, to be recognised amongst our whether you call them peers or competitors is very good for us.
Excellent stuff, yeah. So thanks to our friends at FeedSpot for recognising us, and that put a smile on our face. So thanks very much for that. Moving on, Josh, we've already hinted at it this evening. Phil Taylor has been making waves about the possibility of a comeback. Now, I don't know how much truth there is in this story, but it's certainly caused waves on social media recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, Phil was obviously at the Target launch a couple of weeks ago. I think he conducted an interview with Live Darts and also Sky Sports, talking about the new Swiss point that Target had released at the latest launch. And he said it really made him wish he was still competing. And if he got good with these darts, he might consider a comeback. I'm not sure how genuine that is. He gave up, not because he didn't have the ability. I mean, he'd won the World Match Play and got to the World Final in his last year. I think the reason was obviously his age. He didn't like the travelling. He didn't want to compete on the Pro Tour events, and he's achieved what he wanted to achieve. So he's going to miss it. Of course he is. I mean, he's a competitor. He's a winner. He's a 16-time world champion. Darts was his life. But I don't expect him to return because he'd have to go through qualifying school. It'll be quite a gruelling process, and he's going to be turning 60 next August. So I can't envisage it, really.
I noticed we mentioned earlier, Josh, an interview that Gary Anderson conducted. It might have been part of the same interview. It might have been on the Sky website. I can't remember which.
He was, but he did it with Live Darts as well, and Sky covered it, yeah.
Gary said that he wouldn't be surprised to see his great rival Phil Taylor make a comeback on the professional circuit. So Gary talking up the chances of it happening as well.
He is, yeah. I mean, obviously Gary, I think people were kind of speculating about Gary Anderson retiring a couple of months ago, but I don't see any hint of that. I mean, Gary's already planning for the future, as we mentioned about his European Tour commitments, but no, I must admit, I can't see Phil returning. I think Wayne Marl also spoke to Live Darts, and he says he thinks it's not a possibility at all. I don't think it is either.
Neil, let me just give you Gary Anderson's quotes on the subject. He said, "The day Phil retired, I knew he would be sick as a pig. He loves the darts. He is darts, and that's what Phil is about. He might have thought, I'm getting old, travelling a lot, the schedule's hectic, but he'll be sitting at home watching darts on the telly going, I can still beat him, and he'll be itching to get back. That's what Phil's about, darts, so I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back." Your thoughts?
I wouldn't be surprised either. If I look at we spoke about Barney earlier. If I look at him and Taylor, I see Phil as someone so obsessed with the game after spending so many years playing darts day in, day out. It must have come as a shock to the system. Yeah. And I think he will be sitting at home thinking that he can still compete, because we know how he's...
Yeah, knowing Phil the way we do, exactly. I'm sure he does sit there watching the games.
The way his mind operates. So, on the contrary to Raymond, who I can see quite happily taking a back seat, it would not surprise me one bit to see Phil Taylor make a comeback in some capacity.
Okay, so some disagreement around the table, whether it would happen. I mean, from a personal point of view, I would absolutely love it. Phil Taylor, one of my darting heroes, and I know I'm not alone in saying that, and it would be a absolutely sensational story.
It just wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't be a big shock to me, if I'm honest.
Do you think he misses it that much? That he...
I just think when it's that much a part of your life, and you were so dominant for so long, it must be hard to switch off.
Josh, I don't imagine money plays a part in any decision that Phil would make. I'm sure he's made enough money out of darts over the years.
And he's so in demand on the exhibition circuit, John. I mean, you know, who wouldn't want Phil Taylor at an exhibition? I think I could see his return more being if they did like a Legends tour. Obviously, you mentioned Barney's retiring, Phil Taylor. There's a lot of top pros now who've stepped away from the game, like Wayne Mardle, Colin Lloyd. Whether they do something in a Legends capacity, but I can't see a competitive return happening.
Okay, well, we'll keep our eye on that, and I'm sure if it does happen, we'll be bringing you the news of that straight away. Josh, let's look at qualifiers for the Worlds. We've had 3 more international qualifiers confirmed for the PDC Worlds, haven't we?
Yep, the qualifiers are coming thick and fast now, John. We've got Darren Young, the big American who plays at the World Cup of Darts for Team USA. He's making his 10th appearance at Alexandra Palace, at the PDC World Championship this year. We've got Matt Clark, a Canadian player, making his debut, and also got Seigo Asada, obviously represents Japan, very good player, making his 3rd consecutive Ali Pali appearance.
Neil, we mentioned earlier about new faces and debutants and this, that and the other. I know Darren Young and Asada have appeared before, but Matt Campbell will be making his debut at the World Championships. Always good to see new faces.
It is. New faces, new walk-on songs. And, you know, his walk-on song may be the question of a future Challenge Josh episode.
Yeah, keep your ears peeled, Josh. You might need to know that one moving forward. Okay, well, we wish Darren, Matt and Seigo all the best of luck in the forthcoming World Championships, and we'll keep an eye on their performance. Josh, Michael van Gerwen has family news for 2020, doesn't he?
Yeah, very exciting news for Michael van Gerwen. He's set to become a father for the 2nd time in 2020. He revealed the news on social media, so congratulations to Michael and his wife Daphne.
Yeah, excellent news for Michael van Gerwen adding to the family, and we wish him and the family all the very best for that. Could take a toll on you having children and the schedule that you have to abide to, Neil. When you're looking after children, it can leave you tired, it can leave you emotional, as we all know, and could affect his darting performance in 2020. Neil, what do you reckon?
Difficult to say. I mean,
sleep deprivation.
Yeah, I mean, my hair was not this white before my children were born, so it's difficult to say. Sometimes it has a positive impact, so we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, Josh, in the news, let's have a quick chat about the BDO. We've not really touched on the BDO at all this evening. They had their World Trophy, didn't they, across the end of August, start of September, really. How did that go?
Yeah, I didn't really see much of it, John. It was my birthday on the 30th of August, so
that's no excuse. You're a darting journalist. You're supposed to be a professional.
Did you buy a round?
I did, thank you, Neil. Yes.
Reluctantly,
not for you though.
Reluctant.
But in the men's side of the draw, we saw Jim Williams win his first BDO major title. Now Jim's been a top player in the BDO circuit for a last couple of years. Obviously, Glenn Durrant's monopolised that, but since he's gone, I think Jim's now one of the main figures, and he beat Richard Veenstra, very talented Dutch player, in the final. And in the ladies section, Lisa Ashton won her 3rd title at the World Trophy, beating Anastasia Dobromislova. Now, they were the 2 female qualifiers for last year's PDC World Championship, and I'm sure they'll be trying to compete again at Ali Pali this year.
Neil, more silverware for Lisa Ashton. She is really at the forefront of ladies' darts in the BDO, isn't she?
And she also had a very successful weekend this weekend. I'm just going to touch on, John, at the British Open and British Classic. She did the treble. She won the doubles with Maria O'Brien and then won the singles titles in both the British Open and British Classic. So well done to Lisa.
Yeah, Neil just underlines my point then.
Yeah, and I think if I remember rightly, she, in the World Championship last year, she actually started the game very, very strongly.
Yeah.
Josh, remind me who her opponent was.
She played Jan Decker. She won the first set, 107 average, I think.
Yeah, she played some great darts. So what's her qualification status this year, Josh?
Well, obviously it's just an open qualifier in Milton Keynes, so I think there'll be about 100, 120 entrants.
Yeah.
Do we know when that is roughly?
I think it's November sort of time.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, she's having a good year. She's in good form. There's no reason why she can't progress at the World Championships, assuming she can qualify.
Excellent stuff. I think on the last episode we had quite an in-depth chat about the BDO. Obviously, we had a friend of the show, Oki Balbara, on. There's quite a few sort of one or two negative stories emanating out of the BDO, but I think hopefully things have sort of settled down a little bit with the change of the officials and referees and ticket sales and venues and this, that, and the other. So hopefully, sort of BDO can press on now and look forward to their own World Championships in January, and things sort of calm down a little bit on the BDO side.
Yeah, and obviously the World Trophy was the first outing for the new officials, new referees. They all did a very good job by all accounts.
Yeah.
Obviously they've got venues secured for the upcoming major tournaments. So they've got more stability now, and I think, it should be a good time for the BDO.
And don't forget, we've got the Grand Slam of darts coming up.
And that'd be very interesting, to see how they represent themselves, who will be picked, more to the point. We'll touch on that in the Q&A, I believe. But just before we stop, just want to also mention a very good weekend for two Dutch players in the BDO circuit. Dennis Olderkouter, British Classic he won. And we saw Wesley Harms, very prolific on the tour this year. He won the British Open on Sunday. So double Dutch for the BDO.
Double Dutch. A bit like Dublin in Dublin, that double Dutch.
Indeed.
Double in, double out in Dublin.
Double in, double out in Dublin. Okay, well, congratulations to both of those. Okay, lovely. Thank you, gentlemen. There's some good BDO news there. Josh, do we have any more news stories?
No, that is all for this episode, John.
Lovely job.
In the news. Hi, this is John Lowe, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, we're nearly at the end of the show, but before we go, as ever, you've been sending in your questions across social media. This is Josh's Twitter chatter. Okay, yeah, Josh, as I mentioned, the questions have been coming in thick and fast across social media. Let's begin with some questions coming in via Twitter. Friend of the show, Jeffrey Flex. Hello, Jeffrey. Always good to hear from you. He's asked, do you think Mark Webster will keep his tour card at the end of the season? I've always thought he could have achieved more than he has, and the Premier League did his game no favours at all. Josh, let's get your comments on Mark Webster.
I mean, obviously, it's well documented. Mark's Premier League campaign was difficult for him. I still think he had a decent year after getting knocked out of the Premier League, but his form has obviously dwindled a little bit. He missed out on the World Championship for the first time in, I think, his PDC career last year. Yeah. And obviously that takes a hit to your world ranking, because the PDC World Championship is the most lucrative tournament on the calendar. So to miss on that, you lose your ranking money. So it's a difficult position for Mark, but I've been following a few of his games on Darts Connect on the Pro Tour recently. His performances have been good. He's playing some good darts. If he can qualify for the World Championship this year, he's an established champion. He's won a World Championship, the Lakeside title, obviously. So I still believe he's got a lot to offer the game. Not just, obviously, he's a great commentator. He does a lot of good work for Sky Sports, but I think he's still good enough to play the PDC Tour. He's very young, relatively young for a darts player, so I still think Mark's got a lot to offer. Obviously, he's had a lot of problems with dartitis over the last couple of years, but he seems to be over that gradually, so I think there's cause for optimism if you're a Mark Webster fan.
Okay, next question. This is a bit of a stitch-up. A Twitter account in the name of Liverpool Football Club News Sheet has sent in a question that says, what does John think of Spurs' start to the season? Well, unfortunately, LFC News Sheet, this is a darts podcast. We're not here to discuss football, and if you want a one-word answer from me, it's disappointed. Let's move on. Pure Fiend at the Irish Blur on Twitter. They asked, do you agree with Mardle that the BDO champions should be given automatic cards for the Grand Slam? He specifically mentioned that young lad Leighton and Mikuru Suzuki. Josh, what do you think? BDO champions given automatic cards for the Grand Slam?
I would love to see Leighton Bennett and Mikuru Suzuki be included in the Grand Slam. I completely agree with Wayne Mardle there. I mean, the Grand Slam is meant to be for champions. I mean, the PDC qualification criteria, you have to have either reached a major final, won a major final, or won, I think, European Tour event or Players' Championship event. So it's about rewarding winners.
Yeah.
I know the BDO in previous years have done it on the ranking system, but I think it'd be fantastic to see the likes of Leighton Bennett. I mean, we've seen him in exhibitions beat Phil Taylor, I think, in Germany. He's only 13 years old, so hopefully they come with child protection issues in terms of being in the venue with alcohol, etc.
Yeah.
But I think he's a fantastic young prospect. We've got to be careful not to put too much pressure on him too soon. Playing on a massive TV event, it can be a lot of pressure, but he's shown no signs of being phased before, so I think it'd be fantastic to see how he fared. And yeah, Mikuru Suzuki, she's a star in Japan. Obviously winning the Lakeside at the first attempt, brilliant. Beat Lisa Ashton last year in the first round. Obviously beat Lorraine Winstanley in the final. She's a great
Cost
player.
me a lot of money, she did, because I had money on Winstanley winning that.
Yeah, don't bet against Mikuru in the future, John. That's what I'm going to say. But yeah,
what I'll say is when the fun stops, stop. Go on.
Yeah, she's a terrific player. Like I say, she's a huge star in Japan. I think the interest that would generate having a female player in the Grand Slam. We've obviously seen the likes of, I think, Trisha Wright, Anastasia Dobromislova before. We've seen female players in it, but it'll be fantastic to see Mikuru representing the BDO.
Neil, Leighton Bennett's caused a bit of a stir in the darting community with his performances from one so young, the exhibition against Phil Taylor that we all talked about at the time. A lot of people are envisaging, stardom for Leighton, but Josh makes the point there of not putting so much pressure on a young lad too early in his career. Yeah,
but I don't sense from what I've read about Leighton that it's something that's going to faze him.
Are you of the thinking that, the old adage, if you're good enough, you're old enough?
Exactly. And I think a lot of these youngsters, even as they get into their 20s and late 20s, don't have much fear.
Yeah.
It's when you get a little bit older and into your 30s and 40s that the nerves start to really play a part. So it might be a bit intimidating for him to start with, but he's played exhibitions with Phil Taylor. It doesn't come.
Yeah, the Tower of London. I mean,
yeah. So it doesn't come more intimidating than that. So I expect big things. I think from what I've read, he has the character for it, and I'm excited to see how he does going forward.
Okay, Josh, let me hand it over to you. I believe you've got some questions from the Facebook account, haven't you?
Yep, I've got one sent in from Jenny Murta. She has asked, has Phil Taylor hunted a rejoining the chaos on the Oki just so he can compete for his own trophy at the Winter Gardens next year? Could this possibly be the most narcissistic trick in the book? Oh,
Controversial. Neil, what do you reckon?
I'd be very surprised if if this comeback hint was related to that particular event. Knowing Phil Taylor's character, he'll want to win more than that.
Narcissistic's a bit strong, isn't it?
Yes, it probably is. I mean, there's only one psychotic narcissist that I know, and he's sitting on my right.
Don't talk about Josh like that. That's not very nice at all. That's really
so
horrible.
For me, it's a no, but I do think ego may be playing a part.
Some of the greatest players in the world, and I'm not just limiting this to darts, all sports. Some of the greatest sportsmen and women in the world do have big egos.
Well, you look at the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Absolutely.
You've got to have that you've got to have that air of arrogance.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
That's what makes him a champion, a winner. He believes he's better than everyone else. And to be fair, for 30 years, Phil Taylor has been better than everyone else.
And there's more than one darts player on the current scene that has, got a bit of ego and a bit of attitude about them. I'm sure we'll all agree. I'm not going to start naming names, but
without question. Yeah.
For me, that's what makes the game and gives you that competitive edge. And we see the rivalries form that we do, and is one of the reasons that we all tune in and watch, Josh.
Exactly, John. I think and the next question actually comes on to that. Really, there's a friend of the show, Peter Drazy.
Oh yes, Drazy, yeah, the old warhorse.
Indeed. He has sent in a question talking about characters in the game of darts, and he said, where have all the characters gone in darts? Has darts peaked in popularity?
Well, personally, I think there's plenty of characters in darts. I think a big thing over the last 12 months that we've discussed many a times on this show clashes on the Oki that we've seen. We've seen a lot of sort of heated arguments and debates. People up in front of the DRA.
No names, Gerwin Price.
Exactly. Being given world record fines for their behaviour on the Oki and backwards and forwards. To say the game is devoid of characters, Neil, at the moment, I don't agree with that at all.
I understand his point, because if you look back over the years, friend of the show, Wayne Mardle, great character, Hawaii 5-0 on stage. Bobby George, another big character.
Jockey Wilson.
Bristow,
of course,
Crafty Cockney. So I kind of get that, but it depends what you want, because I don't think darts has reached its peak in terms of its popularity. I believe it's become a lot more professional through the years, and as a result, the quality of the game has got higher, and it may mean that kind of eccentric behaviour is less common than maybe it was in the past. If Drazy wants to see some characters, then I suggest he gets down to Ali Pally and sees the likes of Michael van Gerwen's lookalike going around handing his business cards out.
My wife and mother were quite taken by him last Christmas.
They were indeed. So I do think he's got a point. I think the increase in quality of the game is responsible. But I think if he got to an event, he'd very quickly change his mind about what goes on.
I think you have to look. I think he's referencing the fact, obviously, Phil Taylor retired from the game after the 2018 World Championship. Barney's obviously on the way out now, and you've got two figureheads of the sport for the last 30 years, two of the most famous players. So, of course, it's going to be a bit of a blow for the darting scene, but you've got so many top players, and I think we mentioned here the amount of different winners we're seeing week in, week out now. It's not just one man dominating. Yes, Michael van Gerwen is still the best player in the world by some distance, but we're seeing so many different winners. I think the game is never been stronger in terms of depth, and I think it's a very exciting time for darts.
For me, Neil, sport has to evolve. If you think back to the day when, the likes of Bristow and Wilson and that were playing, and you could have a pint of lager on stage and you could have a cigarette on stage, and that applies to not just darts. You think back to the days of the snooker when you could have a pint of lager on your table and a cigarette. You don't see that anymore, and there's a reason you don't see that anymore. Sports across all sports are trying to be more professional, and some people say you lose a bit of something. People become a bit robotic when perhaps taking part in interviews and are careful with what they say and don't wish to be too controversial. But I think, if we want to see, as you mentioned, the sort of, the heights and the standard of darts that we want to see, then unfortunately you have to sacrifice a little bit of that sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And this one of the greatest games that I've watched in recent years was the Rob Cross versus Michael van Gerwen World Championship semi-final. Would you get something like that in a less competitive environment where, I'm not talking down the players of the past, but, there's so much now that goes into making this game professional. Would you get that kind of standard historically? It's a question.
You look at the prize money as well. I mean, £500,000 on offer to the winner of the World Championship. The incentives are massive. Would you not be more serious taking the game more professionally? I mean,
but let's not talk down the great players of the past, because we've mentioned a few. We had some terrific players in the past. What we didn't have was the depth that we have nowadays.
Okay, Drazy, well, we hope that's answered your question. Josh, have we got any more questions via Facebook?
No, that is all for this episode, John.
Thank you very much.
In the news. Hello, I'm John McDonald, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Right then, gentlemen, that brings us neatly to the end of episode 18. Just a quick shout out again to Raymond van Barneveld for taking the time to come on the show and chat to Josh. Josh, it's more than appreciated, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I wish Raymond all the very best at the World Series of Finals and hopefully the Players' Championship Finals in Ali Pally. He's not confirmed yet, but he should certainly be there.
Keep your eyes on the @Josh's Dartistry Twitter account. You'll find all the latest news, views and reviews on there and links to the Josh's Dartistry website. Is that right, Josh?
Yep, that's correct, John. You can find all the latest articles and news on my website.
Excellent stuff. Don't forget you can check out the show on, of course, Apple Podcasts, the Stitcher app, YouTube account, and of course Josh's Dartistry, as we just mentioned. Thanks for your support, and we look forward to bringing you episode number 19. Neil, thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks very much, guys. Thank you.
Well done, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Josh's Dartistry.